is now official that President Bola Tinubu has ordered the full implementation of the Stephen Oronsaye report. But do you know that that report, if it is executed, several agencies of government would be merged, scrapped or relocated?
Yes, the move is towards cutting the cost of governance. So in this next piece, TVC News correspondent Ayodele Ozungbangu walks us through the recommendations of the Stephen Oronsaye report.
We cannot continue to lag behind.
In 2012, the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan set up the Presidential Committee on the rationalization and restructuring of federal parastatals, commissions, and agencies. The committee was headed by a retired civil servant and former head of service of the Federation, Stephen Oronsaye.
And then there were statements that were subjective.
The committee recommended the scrapping and merging of 220 out of the 541 statutory and non-statutory agencies. The 800-page report of the committee noted that the functions of most government parastatals and agencies are overlapping.
Of the original total contracts.
As such, the committee, in its report submitted in 2012, recommended the reduction of statutory government agencies from 263 to 161.
Participate in the global ICT age.
As part of its recommendations, the committee suggested abolishment of 38 agencies, merger of 52, and reversion of 12 to departments in the ministries.
Why there should be large differentials in salary.
In 2014, the committee on the white paper of the Oronsaye report submitted its own report. 12 years after the recommendations were made, 2 review committees, the federal government is set to implement the recommendations. President Tinubu ordered the implementation of the Oronsaye report at the Federal Executive Council meeting on Monday, 26th of February. According to the plan, numerous agencies will be scrapped, others combined or restructured to cut rising costs of governance.
It's a report that have been in place for almost a decade, if not more than. And the motive is was to streamline government expenditure, most especially in the area of cost and carrying out the responsibilities of government parastatals and agencies. Going by what this government stands for, which is prudence, accountability, and transparency in governance, it is important that the president, assess and probably set up a committee to look into how they can see a way of implementing, if not all the report, at least a good part of the report, so that Nigeria can move forward from there.
The government assured workers that that will not affect jobs. To demonstrate its resolve, the administration has considered a committee to implement the report within 12 weeks. The committee will be headed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume. The National Assembly is expected to play a crucial role in the implementation of the report, as the legal framework or enabling act of some of the agencies needs to be amended. Ayodele Ozungbangu, TVC News, Abuja.
Now, in other news, let's tell you that the Minister of Petroleum Resources says the Obiafo-Obrecom-Oben pipelines will be completed by March 2024. Upon completion, the 42,127 kilometer pipeline will supply 2 billion cubic feet daily.
Now, TVC News Ellen Osamede Kins report that the pipelines will provide Ajokuta, Kaduna, Kano pipelines with gas. The report.
The piece of gas infrastructure for the supply of feedstock to the AKK pipeline. The pipeline is among Nigerian and Africa's biggest gas transition system. As Nigerian focus on revamping its gas economy, it says the OB3 pipeline will be completed by the first quarter of 2024.
I'm pleased to report that significant progress has been made in the realization of Decade of Gas vision. The official secretariat is now operational and fully functional. Another milestone is our journey towards a gas-focused economy in the Ajakuta-Kaduna-Kano AKK pipeline. I am pleased to report that significant progress has been made in constructing this critical infrastructure project, and we are on track to ensure its completion and commissioning as scheduled.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited pledged to support Shell's exit from onshore oil production in the Niger Delta and focus on future investments in Nigeria on deep water.
It will facilitate any sale of assets in this country. We have no interest whatsoever to prevent any of our partners from taking down their position. We would have loved them to stay. And let me also be frontally open. If we have choice, we would like Shell and Exxon to stay in the assets. But that's not an option now. They would like to exit. And it is our job to facilitate that exit in a manner that will be mutually beneficial to both the exiting partners and also the incoming partners, and also for the NNPC Limited.
The gas sector is a cornerstone in navigating the challenges and opportunities presented by the new energy world order. Helen Osamide-Akins, TVC News, Abuja.
Now let's walk you through this sharing news where the high cost of transportation in the federal capital city may soon drop. This is because the federal government has introduced a compressed natural gas buses in the city center.
And the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, acknowledges the positive result from the collaboration with private institution. Huloma Oyemachi reports.
In recent months, Nigeria's transportation system has been a source of concern, particularly after President Bola Tinubu removed fuel subsidy, and this was followed by economic hardship. However, it seems that the concerns of Nigerians are being addressed by a collaboration between the federal government and private transport organizations. In a noteworthy development, private transport services, Transport for All and Naragzi, after an official receipt of licensing to operate in Abuja in collaboration with the FCT administration, have introduced 40-seater buses powered by compressed natural gas.
I hereby commission the operation of these buses.
The Minister of the FCT, represented by the FCT Mandate Secretary for Transport, emphasized that the vision of both private institutions align with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda.
Every bit of this bus that we've seen is a product of careful planning and good reasoning. From the point of acquisition, we as a secretariat have followed these buses through the seas to the port in Nigeria at Lagos, and from Lagos to Abuja. And we insisted that even the branding will have to be done where we have control.
The founders of the private transport services emphasized the distinct features of the vehicles, including free Wi-Fi. Furthermore, they underscored the importance of ensuring functional internet systems throughout Nigeria.
Nigeria is growing, our technological infrastructure is growing. Obviously, we want a situation where you could have better internet penetration, because most of these payment systems run on the internet, so payment infrastructure is there. We can also see the purchasing power of most Nigerians is also another key factor, because you could digitize your payments, you could have fantastic bus service, but you are not profitable.
Welcome. CNG buses have been launched at Nigeria's capital city. Here at the Eagle Square, over 40 buses are on display, promising hope to Nigerians at a subsidized rate for ease of movement in and around Abuja. Uloma Oyemachi, TVC News, Abuja.
And when Live from Abuja returns, we will be reviewing the 2023 presidential election, where President Bola Tinubu won 36.61% of the total vote cast. Stay with us for details after this break. Staying with us on the program, the bill to empower the National Assembly to summon the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, unbundle INEC, transition to parliamentary system, creation of state police, and gender bills to top the list of issues discussed at the 10th House of Representatives begins the 6th alteration to the 1999 Constitution as amended.
And of course, the Deputy Speaker and Chairman Special Committee on Constitutional Review, Benjamin Carlo, says the nation constitution must strengthen its democracy. We'll have the report. But of course, before we'll play you that report, we're joined live by a senior advocate of Nigeria, Johnson Usman, is of course a senior advocate, and he joins us to talk about this constitutional review. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Johnson.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Okay, so first of all, let's look at this constitutional review. There's been a lot of talk, and the National Assembly has been in and out of it. One of which, of course, the journey to review all of the bills that has to do with constitutional review, especially the federal lawmakers. How far do you think that the National Assembly can go on this matter of constitutional review?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Okay, if you can hear me, Mr. Johnson, I'm saying that...
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
So if you can hear me, I'm saying that how far do you think that the National Assembly can go on the matter of constitutional review?
Well, constitutional review is a function of both the National Assembly and the state houses of assembly. It is not just like the ordinary bill that will pass through the House of Representatives and the Senate and then get as.
Hello, Mr. Johnson. Okay, so while we're trying to sort the technical issues out from Mr. Johnson's end, let's now take you through the package by Joke Adisa.
Since 2010, every National Assembly has had to amend the Constitution as a ground norm for the nation's operations. Lawmakers believe landmark legislations have been made since then as Nigerians crave for a more people-friendly constitution. Some of these landmark legislations include financial independence of the National Assembly, financial autonomy for state houses of assembly and the judiciary.
We cannot have a situation where we have just about 16 or 13 women in the House of Representatives and only 4 senators. This is not speaking well of Nigeria.
The 10th House of Representatives formally inaugurates its committee for the review of the Constitution as it engages with the citizens.
All members of the review committee to please rise for the inauguration.
Deputy Speaker and Chairman of the Special Committee says 44 bills are in the committee's kitty for deliberations. Bills on devolution of power, gender mainstreaming, state police, local government autonomy, and return to parliamentary system of government are some of them.
The Constitution Review Committee of the 10th National Assembly stands ready to embrace the challenges and the opportunities that lie ahead, leveraging the power of technology, social media, and inclusive engagement. We will ensure that every voice is heard.
While some citizens argue that the document should be entirely discarded, it is important to remember that democratic consolidation can only be incremental and gradual.
The amendments we are set to deliberate upon carry the potential to shape our country's future.
From the state houses of assembly come words of support, particularly as it relates to bills on the nation's security.
I support a system of government in which several states unite under a central authority but in which the states are empowered to address their own challenges and also be able to navigate its own destiny.
In the face of numerous challenges, this exercise marks the beginning of another round of efforts to further strengthen the foundations of the nation's democracy. The legislators are hopeful of getting active citizen participation in order for Nigeria to have a truly people-oriented constitution. TVC News, Abuja.
Of course, that's of course the story from Jokeadi's Constitutional Review. And we're back to our guest, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Johnson Usman. Mr. Johnson, thank you for joining us once again. I was actually asking you earlier on, how far do you think this Constitutional Review can be sustained by the National Assembly?
Thank you once again. Like I said earlier, that when it comes to constitutional amendment, it is not a function of the National Assembly alone. It is a function of both the National Assembly and the 36 state houses of assembly. What does it mean? Unlike the ordinary bill that can emanate from the House of Reps, go to Senate, get concurred, and then get assented to by the President, when it comes to constitutional amendment, it has to originate from the National Assembly and then go to the 36 states houses of assembly and also get the nod of at least 2/3 on each provision that is sought to be amended. Previously, we have had about 5 amendments which were successful, and in those processes, some of the provisions now that sought to be amended were rejected. I think time is up for some of those provisions to be concurred with by the state houses of assembly. So I think it's a positive step.
Now, the devolution of power remains one of the most contentious items that the National Assembly has failed to achieve in previous alteration. What is your take on this, sir?
Now, if I may ask, what is devolution of power? We have 3 tiers of government. We have the federal, the state, and the local government. The Constitution has specifically given powers to each of these governments. It is the abuse of the power that is a problem. I don't think there's anything wrong with the power as it is. So for me, I don't think there is any need to devolve powers to any other arm other than what they have. After the one they have, how far have they gone with it? Have they fared well with the powers that have been given to them by the Constitution? Now they are now clamoring for more powers. I don't believe and I don't subscribe to that.
So I wanted to ask, should full local government fiscal autonomy, when we talk about that, and of course the full autonomy of the judiciary in the area of administration of justice and youth inclusiveness and governance be observed too when we're talking about this constitutional review?
Now, by Section 8 also, the local government is created by the Constitution and is given powers by the Constitution. Even the autonomy we are talking of, the Constitution has given autonomy, full autonomy to the local government. It is the implementation, the failure of the governors to allow the local government to function, that is a problem. And that is where we should look at. I'm not looking at any other thing because enough powers have been given to the local government. If you look at our schedules, the local government have been given power to function. But the governors have failed, refused, and neglected to allow the local government to function as an entity, as an arm of government. That is where the problem is.
There have been different attempts by government to consider the alteration of this constitution. And is the process not too cumbersome?
I didn't get you, please.
Like their state assemblies have also considered the alteration of some parts of the constitution, and then now the National Assembly as well. Is the process not too cumbersome?
Yes, it is so, because the amendment of a constitution, like I said earlier, must involve every citizen represented by a member of the State House of Assembly, House of Reps, and the Senate. So for you to speak, for Nigeria to speak as one voice, then we must have our input generally. And that is why it is cumbersome
and difficult to amend the Constitution, but it's achievable because the processes are clear. When it emanates from the National Assembly, it goes to the State House of Assembly, where we have the members of House of Assembly representing us at that level. At the moment they concur on any provision, it will be done. So I don't see it as too cumbersome. It is doable, it has been done, and it will still be done.
Okay, let me ask you this before my last question. I just want to ask you this. You as a constitutional lawyer, and as the Constitution is a ground norm for everything that Nigeria does, what do you think is actually missing in the Nigerian Constitution that needs to be reviewed going forward?
Let me correct one impression. I'm not a constitutional lawyer.
Okay.
I'm a lawyer.
Okay.
There is nothing called a constitutional lawyer.
Okay.
Because if you say you are a constitutional lawyer, it means your practice is centered around only the Constitution, which is not correct. I don't belong to that group that call themselves constitutional lawyer. Right. I am a Nigerian lawyer called to the Nigerian bar. So I practice every aspect of law that comes my way. So that is the first thing that I should correct. Now the next thing, some of the amendments sought to be done. I don't subscribe to them, while I subscribe to some. In terms of local government, for instance, local government elections to be conducted by INEC, I am being in full support. Because when you go to states, what you have in the state INEC, what they call the state INEC, is actually not the state INEC. Why did I say so? A day will be scheduled for an election to be conducted by the State Independent Electoral Commission. Before 12 noon, elections are already, the results are already out, declaring the party that is in power. That is not election. Therefore, I will subscribe to INEC conducting the local government election. Let the budget of INEC be increased and let them conduct the local government election. I don't subscribe to state police, even though some of my friends have been clamoring and saying, no, it is time for state police. The question is the police we have now. How far have they gone? And you see, when a commissioner of police is posted to the state, the governor will pocket him. You have seen in several states, in several instances, where the commissioner of police is at the beck and call of a governor. That is a federal government appointee. Now, consider that commissioner of police being appointed by the governor. If he said, go and arrest Mr. Usman, the moment the commissioner of police failed to do that, he is removed. I don't subscribe to it. We can empower, let there be a synergy between the vigilante and the Nigerian police, civil defense, and all these other security agencies we have. And I believe they will work. I have seen in so many states where there are issues, and the police partner with the vigilante, and they work. So, giving us a state police, honestly, will lead to a doom for an opposition. I don't subscribe to some of those provisions.
Yes, sir. In what areas do you think the lawmakers should be focusing on, and why?
The areas that should focus, like I mentioned, conducting the local government polls, local government election to be conducted by INEC, I am in full support. State police, I am not in support. Local government autonomy, I don't know what other autonomy we need for local government other than what we have. Why are we not concerned with the implementation? What is left to be given to local government? What is left? What autonomy is left to be given to local government? I don't think there is any. It is the implementation. The one we have, they implemented it. Are the governors ready to implement it? Will they implement it? No matter the amendment you do to a constitution, without an implementation, it amounts to nothing. We have good laws. The laws we have are enough for us. There are countries without constitution. They operate better than us. Why are we always concerned with amendment of constitution? Must we amend every issue? If I cough, you amend. The one we had, how have we failed? So I don't subscribe to all this incessant amendment. What I'm concerned with, and what I'll crave the indulgence of our leaders to do, is to implement the laws we have, and not to continue amending the laws, as if amendment is a cure to the problem. The cure lies with us, it lies with our leaders. Let them do the needful, let them do the right thing, and they will be home and safe.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Johnson Usman, the Senior Advocate of Nigeria, for joining us on the show and, of course, reviewing on the topic Constitution Review.